It's wonderful to be here for the Chamber's centennial celebration. Amcham Brasil has long been an important partner for the Department of Commerce in promoting economic ties. 100 years is an impressive accomplishment. To put it in context, 1919 is the year the Treaty of Versailles was signed to end World War I. In the U.S., a less happy event, Prohibition, went into effect, but the U.S. also passed the 19th Amendment to give women the right to vote. As evidence of an already important bilateral trade arrangement with Brazil, Ford Motor Company founded its subsidiary, Ford Brazil, to import Model T cars in 1919. And lastly, Brazil won the 1919 South American Football Championship. But the U.S.-Brazil relationship is even older. The United States was the first nation to recognize Brazil's independence in 1824. And today, the U.S.-Brazil close and long-standing relationship is stronger than ever before. The United States and Brazil are the two largest democracies and the two largest economies in the Western Hemisphere. In fact, the U.S. is the largest and Brazil the 9th largest economy in the world. President Trump is committed to a strong and dynamic relationship with Brazil, one that promotes democracy, commerce, and regional stability. One of President Bolsonaro's first acts as Brazil's new president was to declare a desire for the United States and Brazil to become each other's #1 trade and investment partners. Currently, Brazil is our 13th largest trade partner globally and 3rd in the Western Hemisphere after Canada and Mexico. U.S. merchandise exports to Brazil were valued at $39.6 billion in 2018, and Brazil's imports at $31.1 billion that same year. Our services trade is also substantial, with exports of $26.4 billion in 2017 and imports that year of $7.2 billion. The total stock of U.S. direct investment from Brazil is valued at $47.8 billion, and the total stock of U.S. investment in Brazil is $68.3 billion. We can expand on these economic and commercial ties. President Trump and President Bolsonaro are both committed to reducing trade barriers and facilitating investments across a variety of industries, especially energy, infrastructure, agriculture, and technology. During their meeting this past March, they agreed to build a prosperity partnership to increase jobs and open new opportunities. The two leaders decided to enhance the work of the U.S.-Brazil Commission on Economic and Trade Relations. That commission will explore new initiatives to facilitate trade, investment, and good regulatory practices. The presidents also instructed their teams to negotiate a mutual recognition agreement concerning their trusted trader programs. These will reduce costs for American and Brazilian companies by making movement of goods across our borders safer and more efficient. The importance of U.S. cooperation on defense was also discussed. President Trump supported Brazil's designation as a major non-NATO ally, and that became effective in June. Some of the advantages of a major non-NATO ally status include collaboration on the development of defense technologies, privileged access to the U.S. defense industry, and increased joint military exchanges, exercises, and training, as well as special access to military equipment financing. Total annual U.S. exports of aerospace and defense products to Brazil rose to $5.8 billion in 2018, including civilian aircraft. We recently held the third formal meeting of the Brazil-U.S. Defense Industry Dialogue, which continued to grow our defense commercial relationship under this new status. These initiatives were made possible largely through the foundational work of the U.S.-Brazil Commercial Dialogue, which has been ongoing for nearly 15 years. The Commercial Dialogue is informed by an advisory board of U.S. and Brazilian executives who constitute the U.S.-Brazil CEO Forum. The Energy Forum is also on track for a November launch in Rio de Janeiro. We will be working closely with our Department of Energy to develop a strong private sector component of the forum. The U.S. and Brazil signed a technology safeguards agreement in March 2019 during President Bolsonaro's visit. Once ratified by the Brazilian Congress, the TSA will allow for the use of U.S. launch technology from the Alcantara Space Launch Center. Together, our countries have established a bold vision and an ambitious commercial agenda, one that will have regional and potential hemispheric impact. Because of Brazil's ongoing economic reforms, President Trump strongly supports Brazil's entry into the OECD. Commensurate with its status as a global leader, President Bolsonaro agreed that Brazil will begin to forego special and differential treatment in World Trade Organization negotiations. There's a tremendous potential for us to increase mutually beneficial bilateral trade and investment. Our commercial agenda clearly reflects this desire to achieve reciprocal growth in our economic relationship. At the Commerce Department, we're working closely with Brazil and other Latin American governments, engaging at all levels to build a dynamic hemispheric economy. We are advocating a business environment based on predictability, transparency, and the rule of law. This includes enforcement of anti-bribery laws and conventions, open and transparent procurement systems, and corporate codes of conduct. These commitments include publication of customs procedures, forms, and documents on the internet, and notification by customs officials when goods at borders are being detained. These high standards are reflected in our new regional trade agreement, the USMCA. That's our arrangement with Canada and Mexico. And that has the highest standards in all of these and other disciplines. Intra-South American trade is only half the percentage of total regional trade that it is in Southeast Asia. And that's largely because of excessive costs and delays at the Latin American borders. Trade facilitation is the solution to this problem. Brazil might consider using its one-year presidency of Mercosur in order to achieve this objective for the region. Meanwhile, we are giving U.S. companies more financing tools so that they can compete more effectively against foreign rivals. The new Development Finance Corporation will have lending authority double that of the former Overseas Private Investment Corporation. It will now be $60 billion. It will also now permit equity investment, and it will merge in additional financing resources from USAID. The DFC is expected to come online by the end of October. We also expect full reauthorization of the Export-Import Bank this fall, and I will remain on the DFC and Export-Import Bank boards. Our department has commercial service offices in more than 100 U.S. cities and over 70 countries throughout the world, including 5 offices here in Brazil. And in addition to the commercial service officers, we have placed U.S. Patent and Trademark Office attachés throughout the region. They provide training on intellectual property law, promote IP rights, and coordinate intellectual property right enforcement initiatives with local governments. We also have digital attachés working to support greater data and trade flows between our countries consistent with national security. And we have standards attachés working to promote the use of international standards. We want to ensure that standards, testing, and conformity assessment requirements do not act as artificial barriers to trade in the region. Here in Brazil, my team of 50 people, spread out over the 5 offices, constitutes one of our top 3 U.S. government commercial networks in the entire world. They work with U.S. companies, large and small, seeking access, connections, and the tools needed to succeed in the market. The U.S. wishes to be the preferred partner for projects in Brazil and the Latin American region because we know our companies offer the cutting-edge innovations and expertise that these projects demand. And we know that such partnerships will be mutually beneficial. The United States also welcomes direct foreign investment that creates opportunities in both countries. As a follow-up to our Select USA Investment Summit held in Washington in June, our Select USA team will be hosting a facilitated investment mission from August 26th to the 30th here in Brazil in 5 cities. And one Brazilian company already made a deal since its attendance at the summit in Washington. We hope many more will follow. Brazil is a truly global country, competing and succeeding in the global marketplace. It is the 8th fastest growing source of investment in the United States in sectors including steel, aircraft, IT, and construction. The total amount of Brazilian direct investment in the U.S. is nearly $43 billion. And Brazil's 21-member delegation at our recent summit included the CEO of Solfintech, an agriculture company, and that's the one I mentioned that had already made a deal with a U.S. company since the summit. Our Select USA Roadshow will be stopping here in Sao Paulo and 3 other cities, Campinas, Belo Horizonte, and Florianopolis. The mission includes representatives of U.S. economic development organizations eager to meet with Brazilian companies. We in the Americas need to continue building strategic partnerships and regional economic frameworks to promote jobs, prosperity, and peace throughout the region. The Boeing-Embraer deal is a great example of 2 companies working collaboratively with the government here to create a really powerful international force. And I think there will be very good enhancement of jobs in both countries as a result of joining Embraer's superior technology in certain types of aircraft with Boeing's global distribution system. The administration's goal is to make the Western Hemisphere the strongest and most competitive economic force in the world. Working together, we can help our people, our countries, and our region reach this goal. And again, it's an honor to be here for your centennial celebration. Keep up the good work and best wishes for another successful 100 years. Thank you, and now I'll be joining your CEO for a moderated discussion based on your questions. I just hope you won't make them too difficult. Thank you.